The mushroom palace breathed with him. Every inhale, the walls brightened to a soft green. Every exhale, spores lifted in lazy constellation and settled on the mirrored floor like dust that believed in miracles. Spiritual Rap stood barefoot in the glow, palms open, eyes half lit dead. He looked like a monk who'd lost his sandals and found a rave.
The spores whisper, he said, as if translating weather. They say, multiply.
Fantastic. First he hears mushrooms. Next he's going to start invoicing us for consulting fees.
Anonymous Cherry didn't answer. He watched the shimmer around Spiritual Rap's shoulders, the way his aura had learned to behave. Less jagged now, less frantic, more like a river that had finally found its banks.
Let him try. The chamber knows what it's doing.
Spiritual Rap inhaled, his aura brightened. Spores cinched tight around him, a ring, then a halo, then a second body peeling out of his silhouette like the world had lagged for a frame and decided to keep both versions. The copy blinked, grinned, and hummed a tuneless ditty about potatoes.
Did he just duet with himself?
The second Spiritual Rap threw a handful of spores skyward. Two more figures stepped out of the rising mist, backup dancers summoned by a man who should never be allowed a stage. In unison, the trio broke into nonsense bars.
Spores adore the kitchen floor. Multiply. Don't ask me why. Shroom-born doom in living room.
Please, spores, take me first.
If you can control them, show me.
They came like fast echoes. The first swung wide. Anonymous parried. The second slid low. He lifted a knee. The third flowed behind him, and a spore fist thudded his ribs, light but real. He gave up ground and blinked once, impressed against his will.
Okay, not all smoke.
Not smoke, breath. The spores are fragments. I am many, but I am one.
The copies dissolved back into a glittering fog. He swayed. Anonymous caught his elbow.
I'm seeing an army in a box situation. Shipping and handling extra. We could monetize this.
Or we collapse him mid-fight and sell tickets to the funeral.
Progress, Anonymous said, and the chamber seemed to agree, pulsing brighter. A ring of new caps sprouted around Spiritual Rap like a crown that hadn't quite decided what head size it needed. The training didn't stop. If anything, the Mushroom Palace grew more opinionated.
The mycelium. It runs beneath like a nerve. It knows everything it touches.
He breathed. The light rilled outward, lines threading under the tile into the dim, then branching again until the whole floor was a faint green map.
Psychic Wi-Fi, Civil said, squinting. But like with 2 bars.
There, 3 presences, left, ahead, and behind the wall.
You can't see behind the wall.
A door he hadn't noticed unlatched itself on the far side of the hall. 3 training drones rolled out like embarrassed Roombas.
Okay, so he can see behind walls. I rescind the Wi-Fi slander. He is fiber now.
The drones moved. He stepped before they crested the corner, already turning, already blocking, as if the fight had happened yesterday and he'd come to correct the only thing he'd done wrong. The mycelium had become an early warning system, a ground truth radar. His addiction had been recalibrated into attention. Then came grappling. The Mushroom Palace conjured a hulking construct of stone and rebar, all angles and indifference. It attacked with the assurance of architecture. You cannot bend me. I was poured this way. Spiritual Rap. Let it grab him. His aura softened to mist. Spores glommed the construct's limbs, then thickened in slow, patient rings. Mold in time lapse, every loop dragging the motion down, 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 until the construct was only intention, and intention had nowhere to go.
Mold hold.
World's first vegan submission. Put that on a hoodie.
It's not just restraint, it's persuasion. He's convincing force to remember friction.
The chamber's humor wasn't subtle. It made a metronome out of a stalactite and started counting time at them. Spectator Rap wandered in with a mic and a 3-camera setup for content, only to throw himself flat when a rounded wave of spores blew across the room on beat 4 and turned a marble column into an accordion for 8 counts.
Fungus funk. It moves better when rhythm leads.
VO. Spectator peeked up and whispered to his lens, "We are absolutely getting demonetized for this," then rolled into a jingle anyway. Spectator Rap, sings, catch the downbeat, dodge the gunk, spore wave hits and the haters funk.
VO, the beat dropped 3 more waves, rolled precisely spaced. The drones tried to correct, lost their timing, and toppled like kids who learned choreography from a broken VCR. VO, not everything it gave him was comforting. VO, he discovered decay by accident. A barrier sprung between him and an exit, humming at a frequency meant to say no to everything. He reached to push and his aura brushed its edge like cloth across a saw. Little slivers came away and drifted in the air. Flakes of energy peeled like paint.
Spiritual rap. Rot, he said. Soft. A word that didn't want to be looked in the eye. VO. The barrier flickered. Offended. Anonymous. You don't use that unless there's no door, and you never use it on what lives. Your power is a tool, not an appetite.
Spiritual Rap nodded, but his gaze stayed on the flaking edge. Addiction had once promised him shortcuts to heaven. Decay smelled like the same lie in a new bottle. The chamber dimmed as if to say, "Good, you saw it." Word of his training leaked. It always did. Evil Rap family scouts learned to check their footing around the palace. Sometimes the ground hummed, sometimes it breathed. Once a boy tried to tag the outer wall, and his paint skittered up his own arm and spelled no on his forehead. He took a week off crime to reconsider fonts.
The jewel came with a laugh and a terrible haircut. He sauntered into the courtyard, thin and wiry, his aura the color of sarcasm. "I'm here for the compost king," he said, like a man who'd rehearsed the line all morning and loved himself very much for it. "Name's Sizzle Rap. Twilight sent me to flip your omelet."
He looks like if a bar of soap learned to lie, Sybil murmured.
House rules. No cussing, no eye gouging, and if you grow mushrooms on our pavers, you're pulling them yourself.
I accept, but clean your aura before you come back in the house.
Sizzle's grin showed teeth that had dreams of knives. He opened his mouth and slung a bar that bent perspective. The courtyard stretched, then snapped like gum. Spikes of heat pressure popped along the flagstones. Spiritual Rap didn't move. He felt the mycelium flare underfoot, the network catching the ripple before it crested. His body tilted an inch left and the spike missed. He lifted 2 fingers and split, clones stepping out of him like pages torn from the same book and tossed into different winds.
"Great magic trick, Grandpa. Spray paint and fog."
The first clone fainted, the second whiffed, the third tripped on an air current that didn't exist, but the stumble ate Sizzle's angle, and the real Spiritual Rap slid through the ruined geometry and tapped him twice in the ribs. "Not hard, true," Sizzle hissed, gathered heat in his palms and shoved. The blast went wide as a spore wave pulsed the courtyard's rhythm, a half beat off. He looked surprised, then angry, then desperate. He tried to lock up with brute force and discovered Mold Hold was not interested in his priorities. Sizzle refused, then remembered his elbow. He tapped. He left spitting threats about litigation and locusts and retreated to go lie about the fight in barbershops with poor lighting. The courtyard cool, the heir's hair unfrizzed, and Donation Rap declared victory by declaring a sale on merch that didn't yet exist. After the duel, the palace went quiet for a long stretch. Quiet as in weather after a storm when birds debate whether to sing. Spiritual Rap slept entire winters in the span of 20 breaths and woke with summers humming in his calves. The mycelium map refined itself from lines to script. He could read football and fear and tension and indigestion as if the ground had opinions about who deserved traction. He resisted rot the way a healed man resists a barstool that remembers his name. When the bloom came, it didn't ask. He'd been walking the long central hall, bare walls and bare feet, a prayer in motion. The spores didn't spiral, they braided. His aura lifted and unfurled like something that had always been patterned and had finally remembered its loom. He stopped. The chamber brightened from the edges in. 1,000 tiny caps opened at once and the air smelled like clean soil after rain's first honest apology. Spiritual Rap opened his eyes. Green, yes, but deeper, steadier, not neon, not frantic. Forest at night, streetlight on Moss hospital monitor resting at 60 and unbothered.
I don't want to be saved by shrooms. I want to be a man who no longer needs saving.
The chamber hummed. He exhaled. Bloom mode held. He walked out into the courtyard like a weather change. The Rap family felt it in the ribs, that click when worry loosens its belt.
Look at you, Mushroom Prom King, and he didn't even marry Produce this time.
Anonymous stepped forward, hands on Spiritual Rap's shoulders, measuring what was there now, not what had been. Balance, he said. At last.
They stood in shared silence. Then Spectator Rap ruined it by clearing his throat and whispering to his camera, "This is the part in the documentary where the music swells and we sell 1,000 limited edition spores."
Night pressed its ear to the palace. The city breathed on the other side of the wall, restless, hungry, full of places for a man to hide from himself. Spiritual Rap listened to it all, the mycelium stitching map to heartbeat, alley to rooftop, vice to hope.
Twilight will be back, he said, not afraid. He'll try to make a carnival of our clarity.
Let him try. We've got rhythm now.
Spiritual Rap smiled, a small, domesticated miracle. He lifted a hand and the courtyard lights dimmed like polite theater. Spores drifted upward in loose lanterns. He didn't command them. He invited them and they accepted, and the difference was something no villain could counterfeit for long. He turned his palm over. The last trickle of rot he'd carried for weeks, a bad habit clinging like unflawed sugar, broke apart and fell away, unremarkable as dust.
Bloom or doom?
In the days that followed, he taught what he could name and practiced what he couldn't. The clones learned to move without stealing his breath. The mycelium became a conversation, not surveillance. Mold Hole found the line between restraint and cruelty and refused to cross it. Fungus funk brought cadence to chaos. Even the doubters found themselves tapping a toe before remembering dignity at the last moment. Twilight's eyes returned to the palace, of course. Predators study light for its edges, but the mushroom zone he tried to force wouldn't open for him anymore. The soil had referred his application to a higher department. When the warning finally came, a ripple in the map, a wrong laugh on the wind, Spiritual Rap only nodded.
I hear him. We'll answer when he knocks.
And if he doesn't?
Spiritual rap looked up. Spores were stars, and stars were spores. The difference was distance, and that had always been a liar. Then we keep the porch light on, he said, for the ones who are still lost on purpose.
Donation rap, as if to reassure the universe of its job security, laid a finger to his ear and tossed an outro into the night, half joke, half benediction. Spores may guide and spores may tease, but family's the wind in sober trees.
No one clapped. It wasn't that kind of applause. They went back to work. The palace humming, the ground listening, the city trying its best to be a home. And spiritual rap, once a man convinced salvation, grew on stems. Learn the oldest law of every garden that ever behaved. Grow toward what feeds you. Let go what doesn't. When the breeze lifted, the spores rose with it. Not commandments, not crutches, just company.